Okay. Welcome, students. This is Jack Handman speaking. I'll be guiding you through the process of the autopsy today as my student. It's best to start... Before we begin the internal examination, we need to document the cadaver in the condition it arrived in. So, we begin with a full-body photo. For each photograph we take, we pin it up on the magnetic board. Before cutting open the cadaver, we should examine the external injuries with a magnifying glass. Well, we take our deceased by the hand. Gradually, we raise it. The clipboard is used by every pathologist to keep a detailed record of the autopsy. This will help you with your finalizing of your conclusion for the cause of death. And at the bottom of the clipboard is where you'll select your conclusion once you feel you've found the right result. The police folder contains all sorts of pertinent information as to who the deceased might be and what potentially happened to them. This will help you to figure out what the cause of death might be. Office of the Medical Examiner, Pete'sville. Dr. Jack Hanman is speaking. How can I help you?
Good evening, this is Kate Brooks. I'm not sure if you remember me. A few weeks ago, we talked about an article I'm working on. It's about your wife. I dropped by last Friday to speak to you, but you weren't working at the time. I asked the security guard to pass on a note for me. I would like us to discuss the topic of...
I thought I had made it painfully obvious for the last time. No! Please don't call me again and stop inquiring about my wife. Damn journalists. They don't let me work. God damn it. I'm not in the best frame of mind to record a lecture for my students now. I'm feeling completely broken. Where did I leave my meds this time? They definitely pay me too little for this. Stephen didn't clean up after himself. Again. Awful. It would be good to finally repair the coffee machine. Wednesday. It's not my favorite day, although it's certainly better than Monday. Okay, time to pull myself together. And get back to work. I need to set up the camera first. I don't see any need to mess with the electrics. They are flaky enough as it is. Now remember, Jack, don't forget, hit the record button this time. Another kidnapping this month. But the word is, the lab will be open tomorrow. Hopefully the new tripod is going to hold up. Now, I just have to get everything in frame. This should be fine. November 20th, 1991. Time, 8:43 p.m. Recording for medical students from the University of Missouri. This autopsy is conducted by Jack Hanman. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the autopsy room. Today, you will have the dubious pleasure of following a full autopsy, step by step. For those of you who have already performed your first autopsy, this will refresh your basic knowledge. In turn, for those whose knowledge is only theoretical, I advise not. Let's start. Always wear an apron, mask, and gloves. Goggles are a must when the job. And in case of sharp, it's true that you won't get ptomaine poisoning straight away. You may end up. The cadaver is placed on its back on the autopsy. The pathologist stands on the right of the deceased. Make sure that all the necessary tools are on, like I do all the time. In the process of revealing, it is difficult not to interfere. Written and photographic documents. During your research, many entries are visible. And lastly, so get used to that fact soon. Now, onto the police folder. That will contain all... So... Some of my previous cases, a reminder of more prosperous times. The deceased was found on the outskirts of a... where he often begged and persisted. The body was noticed by his state. Initially, he thought that someone... It took him a moment to recognize. He worked most of his life at the local port. His son runs a hardware store on his own. Signs of libation were found around the body. Empty bottles, traces of an inept attempt. The deceased's name is homeless and unemployed for at least a... That's it. It's worth remembering the context around the scene of a death. This allows you to better interpret any traces found on the body. I shouldn't start the procedure without... Now it's our turn to... If I can just remember where I left the camera... Aha! There you are. I knew it. As I mentioned at the... Before we begin we begin with a full body. Try and stick to... Let's keep in mind it's... Scalpel. I guess I forgot to clean the nut. Scalpel, scissors, syringe, magnifying glass, knife. Voila! Now we move on to the neck. Take your time. Look at the corpse from different sides, from different angles, up close, and from a distance. You're looking for anything out of the ordinary. The poorly healed wound looks old. I'll take a closer look later. Some wounds in the feet and signs of frostbite, probably because the subject's shoes were too small. Hardened hands, worn out by physical work and frostbite? That's something interesting. It will be necessary to check whether this injury was severe enough to cause damage to the... In a moment, we will check which of our initial... But before we get to that... Personal information. As you can see, I note every pathologist must... This not only allows you to track the procedure, so let's begin by taking a... For this, you're going to need a magnifying glass. Which spot first? Here we can see frostbite on the fingertips. We can tell by the characteristic... I can confirm the presence of ecchymosis on the deceased man's head. Add alcohol, which I can clearly... It looks like a burn mark. No doubt painful, but it's not pertinent. Definitely a painful mix of... Old Toby had been... So far, there are a lot of superficial wounds, but only one serious injury to the head. Let's go back to our notes. First, I mark the location of the injuries and make notes for each one. The head wound. Definitely if Toby's body was cold. We're not in frost season, even though this type of wound didn't contribute to the disease. We're still required to record it. As you can see, let's write down what preliminary causes of death we can think of. The nights have been particularly nasty lately. Considering the conditions in which he slept, this is of no interest to us. Various types of accidents are perhaps old Toby's since the deceased clearly... We still have one thing left from the basics. Well... Gradually re-raise it. Now let it go. As you can see, What's the conclusion? Death must have occurred more than 72 hours ago. The police information appears correct. Head trauma seems the most promising. For this, the cut is made from ear to... After which, we remove the skin and the top of the skull. After the basic examination, we can see that the brain's cerebral... Some pathologists prefer to examine organs without removing them. However, for me, it's much... Holding a long, narrow blade now all the time, pulling the brain towards us. So far, so good. The hematoma seems to have had... We can rule the fatal accident out as well. Brain is in good condition. About to proceed to the... I grab a scalpel from my kit. The incision should be in the shape of a letter Y. We use a deep cut to reach all the way to the ribs and to penetrate the abdominal wall. Alright, now we peel back and separate the skin. Now, we need to remove the ribs. We'll need the loppers for this. Quite a satisfying crunch, for some anyway. After removing the cartilage tissue, we instantly notice two things. Firstly, we can see widespread black and tarry deposits caused by smoking cigarettes. Despite the tragic condition, Alice smoked too. It didn't kill her. Lungs. Yes. Advanced inflammation. What now? The syringe. Now's a good time to collect some, specifically 3. From the eye, the heart, and I'm interested to see the... 5 milliliters from the left ventricle should do it. Left on the bladder, we draw about 10 milliliters of fluid. Vitreous humor analysis is very useful in indicating long-term alcohol abuse. Now we take our samples to the centrifuge. But before I do that, my dyscalculia means that I always double-check the settings. Please excuse me while I run and fetch it. This whole thing is... I should check this out under the... Let's get back to the examination. We put all of the... Now, we set the appropriate... Okay. Oh, shit. Where were we? Oh, yes. The blood alcohol concentration. I don't see any. They are flaky enough. Let's see what we've got here. Everything's separated as it should. Our lab is closed at incident. However, considering that Toby's... I'm guessing the... Let's go further. We will now focus on the cardiovascular system, specifically the heart. We look for dark hypoxic areas, clots, or other elements that stand out as abnormal. At first glance, the heart looks fine. The pulmonary trunk and aorta seem to be in good condition. There are no pathological. Now let's take a size is normal, healthy, and as expected. The stomach has no mate. We must now cut it open. We will do it carefully so that its contents do not spill out. We open the stomach along the greater curvature, from the heart to the pyloric end. Oh, I already feel like there's something left inside. Okay, large, small amounts of yellow, grayish food content. Either our deceased hadn't eaten in days, or the bulk of his stomach had. Looks like I'll have to find. One is obvious, and the other couldn't have been suffocation. I'll add this to the list and. At first glance, the trachea looks normal. Same result as with the stomach. This time we'll cut. While cutting such a small organ as the trachea, we must make a precise incision. To be able to cut with the very tip of the blade, we must hold the scalpel as we would a pen. And after carefully clogged trachea, it's time to summarize the whole thing. Based on the report and preliminary that the deceased passed out after. Then the gastric contents refluxed and. That's why we don't forget about the recovery position. And now it's all clear. The mystery is solved. But for us, first, the dead body needs to be cleaned. For this, we will need to close the body and grab the needle. First, we unroll the skin flap, and then we sew the deceased back up. I'm using the baseball stitch technique. This stitching method is very strong and quick to do. Beautiful. Now we say goodbye to the deceased, ready for the next stage of their journey. God, I'm tired. I'll drop. I'll call Steven.
Forgive me. What? Fuck. I should take my pills. It's always good to have something. I wasn't able to She got it for her first day. She said it was for luck. Till death do. It was a miracle that the coffee didn't wash off the writing. And she got it for her first day of work, and she broke it the same day. She said it was. She always believed she could change people for the better, even me. It's been almost a year. So much light everywhere. Menu for today: dinner in town and takeaway coffee. It's a shame. The fucking phone. Okay, I'll be there soon. It's not like the dead are impatient.
Jack.
What?
It's Charlotte Gray.
No, I didn't recognize it. I thought...
It's okay. I hate it when work calls me at home. How is everything?
Well, they're good. What can I say? At least I can hide.
Well, you always listen.
Okay,
It's nothing serious. Do you have any pictures of Alice? I'd love to.
I guess I'll look through it.
Thank you. I'm sorry all this can't...
I'll get through it somehow. Have you asked Stephen if he has anything?
Yes, I spoke with him this morning. He said he gave everything to their mother and that I should ask you.
I see.
Jack, I know you're... Stephen's there. I mean, if you...
I still...
Oh, sorry to keep...
I'll look for something. Thanks for the call.
Oh,
You'd bet.
292 Browning Lane.
Got it.
Thank you. Just missed...
Yeah, and that's okay.
Thank you.
You too, Charlotte. Well, I should... I'm not in the mood for... They certainly have more will to live than I do. I still feel uneasy at this time. The remnants of last night's binge with Stephen. I'm not sure if it's still edible. Some days, I just feel fed up with it. It hurts too much. An indispensable... I should really try and read. Time flies, and probably doesn't have to get up to work. I wasn't able to support. Alice used to joke that smoking near plants made cigarettes less harmful. The view isn't spectacular. Why does that car look... Menu for today: dinner in town and takeaway coffee. It's just too dirty. Nah, I'll... It hurts. Alice and Charlotte in Amsterdam. It would be better if Charlotte had this. It deserves to be on display and not hidden in a drawer. These were from Thanksgiving. Stephen invited me. I was going to give them to his mother, but then I met Alice. That was the first time I saw her. Okay, time to go to work. Alice didn't like this portrait. Oh, shit. Almost left the door open. I should grab some coffee. I hope this helps, Charlotte. Standard correspondence consisting of bills, advertising leaflets, and pious reminders about the upcoming end of the world. Damn, I forgot my jacket. Nice and fresh. At least it... Good evening, Miss... Has Steven delivered the body?
Mm-hmm.
Did he?
Uh-huh. If you say so.
Some corpses have... Christ, who leaves the window open in the middle of November? Mom always said no.
Hi, Jack. I dropped by a little early today. I left the body with Ridley in the corridor. He wasn't sitting in the locker. Well, yeah, I mean, it's your first... This, I still... You know, today I was fucking furball. Anyway, I can't come over in the evening, but we'll catch... Charlotte, she asked about you. This time it's not a...
I wonder when... Birthday. I actually forgot it was today. Alice. Apron, maybe later. I'm still hungover, and it might tip me over the edge. Dude. I need to order. I've got to remember to do that later. Ah, man, you were on that talent show. Steven laughed. He says I have a bigger collection of stuff like this than most of the creeps he's caught. November 21st, the Autopsy lecture for the Met. After yesterday's lecture, you should already... So today we'll be consolidating our knowledge. After her first album became a commercial success, when questioned, friends admitted that Samantha... Ah, yes, Samantha Barker, found in her own apartment by police patrol. Officers were called by a concerned friend of the deceased. During the interrogation, a friend of the deceased admitted that Samantha never got to grips. The deceased was found in her own apartment, in a semi-recumbent position on an armchair. Large quantity, as you can see, therefore, before we move on to photographic documentation, this time, we don't... However, there are... Okay, now we can continue with the examination. Again, begin by taking photographs of the cadaver. I guarantee that over time it will cease being embarrassing for you. First, we photograph the whole body. And now, any suspicious looking marks or wounds. You don't get such bruises from a normal contusion. Yes, I've seen this many times. Well, there's even more here. Interesting. Very uneven. We need to investigate this. A few we will need to look. Notes prepared. Time to take a closer look. Some furrows have imprinted more strongly, as if someone was... The number of bruises... Such bruises are caused by either or by some... And here's something. The skin of the deceased is cut. Some of them are ruptured. More numerous... We have some leads to investigate here. Let's write this down. On the neck of the deceased. Currently, it's difficult to say whether the in general, so although it's easier to have abrasions on your feet, given the condition of the deceased, it's difficult to tell him whether the bruises were the result of a struggle. I'll add barbit after examining a severed spinal cord to be checked in the lab. Examination potential attacker. Given the testimony of the victim, a blood test will... But first I'll check for external traces. For this we use the good old UV light. I look carefully at the whole body. UV ray. The area around the head is empty. Torso. Empty, without marks. Right hand clean. Legs. There's nothing here. The left hand seems to be fine. No marks. Well, nothing to surprise us here. Now gently, we take the deceased by the hand. And we check for rigor mortis. Again, the hand. After since we will examine all the key organs one by one. So, I'm starting the internal I dissect the skin of the deceased. And I proceed to deflect the skin flaps. Compared with yesterday's body, the deceased has only trace amounts of adipose tissue. Now for the ribs. What do we have here? There is certainly no sign of internal bleeding. Before I disembowel the deceased, I will take sample. Just to be sure, I'm taking samples from 3 organs: the eyeball, the heart, and the bladder. Analysis will rule out, or confirm, alcohol poisoning as the cause of death. I'll transfer these to the centrifuge. What was it? Numbers have never been my strong. It's probably why I regularly forgot, but I'm lucky, Alice. Gently does it with this old thing. I'm starting the centrifuge. Let's see. The laboratory is already fucking... Ridley! Mr. Ridley! The fuses need resetting. Where is he? Fuck it. I'll do it myself. First the right, and then the left. And voila. fuck's sake, can't I work, you